Want the truth that flips the love story you were taught on its head? Imagine peeling back the velvet curtain, no fairy dust, no soundtrack, just the raw mechanics of human bonding laid bare. It's uncomfortable, it stings, but on the other side of that sting is the kind of clarity that frees you from repeating the same heartbreak on loop. There are truths that don't cradle you, they cut you awake. And one of the hardest is this: in many relationships, people don't love the same way, or for the same reasons you do. Not because anyone is cruel or deceptive, but because emotional frameworks are shaped by different forces, personal history, social incentives, and yes, ancient biology that still whispers beneath modern life. You were raised on the promise of the one. You were told love is noble, healing, everlasting, give your all, time, loyalty, vulnerability, and it will be matched. Be persistent, that's romantic. Cry for love, that's honorable. Surrender completely, that's what makes it real. But the part left unsaid is the part that hurts most. The unconditional ideal you long for is not always the basis upon which people choose or stay. As one clear-eyed thinker observed long ago, what we call romance often functions more like a cultural mirage than a map to reality. It's a story designed to soothe and civilize, not necessarily to reveal. Instinct isn't malicious, it's ancient. It seeks continuity, leverage, security, sometimes consciously, often silently. When you assume everyone loves like you do, and you build your identity on that, you set yourself up for a fall you never saw coming. That's why you gave everything, your focus, your purpose, your soul. You believed devotion guaranteed reciprocity. But when distance crept in, when warmth cooled without explanation, the pain wasn't only about the person leaving. It was about your worldview cracking. That crack, as brutal as it feels, is the doorframe to your real path. If you've known the quiet betrayal of giving your all and getting silence back, you might be ready to stop idealizing and start seeing. Not with bitterness, but with clarity, because when the illusion breaks, it's not only heartbreak that remains, it's confusion. You followed the rules you were handed. You were loyal, you were all in, and still, the story changed, sometimes suddenly, sometimes with a slow fade that felt like fog rolling in at dusk. Here's what that clarity reveals. What you read as spiritual fusion may have been, for the other person, a process with a function, an adaptive cycle that continues to evaluate alignment. An internal radar is always scanning emotional safety, future stability, depth of character, momentum, status signals, even symbolic strength, not out of superficiality, out of human nature. The tragedy isn't that difference exists. It's not seeing that difference and living blind to it. While you framed love as sacred and permanent, the other frame might have been aligned for now. While you believed devotion secures forever, the underlying calculus kept running. When alignment fades, or a stronger promise of future alignment appears, desire can shift. Not out of hatred, not even from a conscious decision, just an instinct turning toward the loudest signal. So you ask, where did I go wrong? You didn't, you just didn't know the rules of the game you were playing. You believed you were in a purely spiritual union. Often, you were in a selection process that rewards strength, direction, and grounded self-respect. That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human, hopeful, earnest, sometimes naive. Many men break here. They harden, they sour on love, but the point of seeing reality isn't to hate, it's to stop worshiping illusions that keep you powerless. Once you see, you can't unsee. The veil falls, the soundtrack cuts, it's you, the silence, and a choice. Stay shattered by a story that never served you, or rebuild on truth. When someone leaves, emotionally or physically, you spiral not only because you lost them, but because you anchored your identity to their presence. You weren't just in love, you were moored. And when the mooring disappears, you drift. That's when many double down. More texts, more pleading, more proving, but what you feel as spiritual devotion often reads, from the other side, as a bond that served its purpose and completed its cycle. Here's the disorienting piece. They may not even know why the feeling changed. Instinct reorients to strength and stability the way a compass finds north. Meanwhile, you're chasing in a straight line, believing love is a flame you can feed with more effort. But in many real-world dynamics, Love is responsive, curving, conditional, adaptive. The lower you sink, the less visible you become. People don't respond to your pain, they respond to your position. Neediness erodes position. You lose more than a partner, you lose posture. Dignity, the sense that your life had shape beyond this relationship. The real fall isn't the breakup, it's the realization that you abandoned yourself for a beautiful story that demanded your surrender as proof. You can't even truly hate the other person, because they didn't promise what you imagined. You did, to yourself. Pain becomes a stern teacher. It invoices you for loving blindly, for idealizing what you didn't understand, for confusing a dream with a durable structure. And here's the bitter medicine that heals. For many people, love is not a temple, it's a strategy, an ever-updating negotiation between feeling and future. What now? You rebuild, not with rage, but with a rebirth of standards. You reclaim center. You stop pleading for permanence and start embodying presence. You cultivate strength that isn't loud, purpose that isn't performative, boundaries that don't wobble when tested. You become a person whose life has gravity, mission first, values steady, availability earned. You transform from chasing validation into radiating direction. And paradoxically, that's when attachment stops controlling you and starts aligning with you. This is Stoicism Drive. If this opened your eyes, even a little, stick around. Like the video to help it reach others. Subscribe for more grounded, unflinching guidance. Drop a comment sharing what hit hardest for you. And pass this to someone who needs to hear it today. Let's rebuild, on truth. With strength. Together.